People often say that Quest is what made VR popular, but PCVR led the charge, especially in terms of graphics, proving what's possible. So I wanted to share my top 10 best graphical PCVR games with you all, and these are the games that made me and others think the future of VR was absolutely undeniable, and it would only be a matter of time for everyone to be experiencing the absolute wonders of high fidelity VR graphics. Well, that's what should have happened anyway. And I want to ask you guys, what was the game that wowed you the most in VR? So in at number 10 we have Hubris, which was released 3 years ago by Cyborn. Hubris was marketed as a next-gen VR game with stunning sci-fi environments, detailed water effects, and vibrant alien worlds. It was later ported to the PSVR 2 with good results, and to the Quest with mixed results. And while the gameplay won't wow you, the graphics certainly will. In at number 9 we have Kayak VR Mirage, developed by Better Than Life and also released in 2022. Kayak VR Mirage is hands down one of the most photorealistic VR games out there, and I want to give a quick nod to the PSVR 2 version, which looks pretty much on par with any top-rig PC. You get to explore photorealistic environments from the icy Arctic to tropical coastlines with some really stunning water physics. They also added some DLC recently, which added whitewater rapids. In at number 8 we have Subside. While most people think this is just a fantastically gorgeous swimming sim, there's actually some gameplay here too. You'll find coins, floppy holographic discs that unlock extra levels, and squeaky toys that unlock extra special events like swimming with 2 beautiful whales and the fantastic Shark Tank experience. You'll also find chests to unlock extra scuba diving gear, and every level is stunning, with beautiful environments and epic lighting. There's something extra immersive about wearing a VR headset while scuba diving in VR. Plus the developer recently tweeted he has some updates coming soon. Also, once again, I want to give a shout out to the PSVR 2 version, which is absolutely up there with PCVR, especially on the PS5 Pro. In at number 7 we have Boneworks and Bone Lab. From Stress Level 0, Boneworks coming out in 2019 and its follow-up Bone Lab in 2022. These games pushed VR physics in a way most other games can only dream of, and the visuals on PC are far beyond the Quest standalone version. With detailed environments, realistic lighting, excellent weapons, and unlimited sandbox mode, plus Boneworks for me still has one of the best soundtracks ever made for VR. Plus the modding scene is absolutely amazing, with one of my favourites being Metal Gear Solid amongst others. Gorgeous, it's like being inside a PS1 game. In at number 6 we have Star Wars Squadrons, which was released in 2020 by Motive Studios and EA and ended up giving me something I always fantasized about as a kid back when I played Rogue Squadron on the N64. Sitting in the cockpits of an X-Wing is absolutely stunning, and the level of detail for every ship is pretty unbelievable in VR, and it plays really good, giving us some epic dogfights, especially online. In at number 5 we have Microsoft Flight Simulator, which can be super taxing even on the best PCs, which is crazy when you think this game released almost 5 years ago, and it is still one of the most photorealistic experiences you'll ever see in a VR headset. Every city, mountain range and airport is rendered using real world data, and personally I do find the game actually pretty boring to play, but I can't help but be visually impressed every time I play it. In at number 4 we have Sanzuru Games Asgard's Wrath, which was released back in 2019, and criminally the developers skipped the PCVR for the excellent sequel, opting for Quest instead. Now don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic game on the Quest, but on PCVR the original game is so full of detail. The weapons are really cool, and Asgard makes great use of one of VR's superpowers, and that is scale, which is something flat screen games just cannot deliver in the same way. There's tons of huge mythical creatures and lush environments. It's a very cool RPG that rivals flat screen games in both scope and fidelity. In at number 3 we have Insomniac Games Stormland, which released back in 2019 and remains one of the best looking open world VR games I've ever played. You take on the role of an android called Vespa, whose planet is pretty much being destroyed by a hostile entity called the Tempest. It's about exploring mechanical floating islands in the clouds with huge vistas and very fluid traversal. At one point, all of Insomniac's VR games actually got pulled from the Meta store for about a year, but now they are back, and I've got all of them just in case Meta changed their mind. In at number 2 we have Lone Echo 1 and 2 by Ready at Dawn. Lone Echo launched in 2017 with Lone Echo launching in 2021, and they're both truly jaw-dropping sci-fi adventures. You get to float and experience zero gravity through space stations and get to interact with incredibly lifelike characters that are far more interactable than nearly any others I've met in a VR game. The game also has like a magical cinematic presentation, and I don't think I've experienced anything like it since. These games aren't just visually stunning, they set a bar for narrative VR experiences, and that brings us nicely to today's number 1, and that is of course, Half-Life Alyx. Released by Valve in 2020, Half-Life Alyx is still the benchmark for PCVR visuals, but 5 years later, whenever a new player experiences Half-Life Alyx, they come away amazed by how ahead of its time it feels in comparison to VR games that are released today. There's so much detail in the environments, from incredible lighting and physics, making this for me one of my most cherished VR experiences, and I obviously still play it today due to fantastic mods like Bioshock and Gunman amongst many others. This is VR's AAA game with a great story and immersive interactions, and still remains the ultimate PCVR showcase, and sadly 5 years later no other VR game has fully beat it. I can only hope that the news of Valve's next VR headset also brings us some new titles or VR versions of some of Valve's excellent IPs, because even if the hardware is great, software is ultimately king. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you to anyone who likes and subscribes to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.